to share her story. Good morning, everyone. Okay, give me a second while I get my stuff together. So I'm sure I have to be really quick, right? I'll be good on time. Let's get this geared up. All right. First of all, just a little backstory, my involvement in Girl Scouts. I've never been a Girl Scout. Always wanted to be a Girl Scout. Unfortunately, they live in a community where it was not as visible. We could not afford Girl Scouting. And thankfully, as our former CEO, Meredith Mascara, used to say, we need to move at the speed of girls, right? And so in doing that, we need to be able to identify, build, rebuild, implement, and adopt. And that is what Girl Scouts of Greater New York is doing every day. Making sure that every single girl in New York City has the opportunity to join Girl Scouting regardless of socioeconomic background or where she's coming from, where she's living, or any of that. So I'll share a little bit of my story with you and how important and impactful Girl Scouting has been to us. In 2016, my family and I were priced out of our apartment and had run out of options and entered the New York City shelter system. It is almost impossible to find a place to live with 5 children in New York City that you can actually afford to live in, right? So we ended up in PATH, which is a family intake center for those who are temporarily unhoused. As soon as we entered our family shelter, it was immediately clear to me that even though the facility was full of families with children, there was no sense of community. As a parent, we try to do the best that we can for our children, and seeing my children feel so secluded in their living environment was very hard for me. And to make matters worse, my children and so many children experiencing homelessness felt like they couldn't talk about their living situations at school because they didn't think anyone would understand. At the time, I was already a Girl Scout leader in Queens and working for Girl Scouts of Greater New York. I knew firsthand how much the girls and parents at the shelter themselves could benefit from Girl Scouting, not at the local school or church, but inside the shelter where we lived. At the time, I was a community development specialist, and my job was to create new Girl Scout troops. I went back to my office and asked former CEO of Girl Scouts of Greater New York, Meredith Mascara, if I could start a Girl Scouting troop at the shelter, to which she replied, of course, why not? And it didn't take us long to realize that one shelter wouldn't be enough. In February 2017, I led the first Troop 6000 meeting in a hotel shelter in Queens, where we lived. That first day, we had just 7 members, 3 of them my own daughters, who had been involved in Girl Scouts for years already. We just knew the community and sisterhood of Girl Scouts could help. Soon after, we grew to 17 girls, the exact same number of girls in the very first Girl Scout troop founded by Juliet Gordon Lowe over 100 years ago. Little did we know that the first small but lively meeting was just the first step in what would soon be a much larger endeavor to bring Girl Scouting to as many New York City homeless shelters as possible. At Troop 6000 meetings, girls are defining what it means to be a sister to every Girl Scout. These incredible, powerful girls stand up for each other, motivate each other, love each other, and have a level of understanding for each other's experiences they can't find anywhere else. They become resilient advocates for themselves and others in their community, found their own inner leaders, and have found the courage to not only motivate each other, but to motivate their parents as well. I've seen such a growth in all girls, including my own. 6 years later, news reports about the migrant crisis are filled with policy questions. Who should pay for housing immigrants? Where can the city put them? How should they be allowed to work? Girl Scouts of Greater New York already knew how impactful the Troop 6000 program would be for these families. Our team and I were full of excitement and ready to welcome our newest members. In just over 7 years, we've reached more than 2,500 girls and women across all 5 boroughs in more than 30 shelters, and have adapted to meet the needs of their changing shelter populations. We have a robust network of volunteers, including young women who are the very first Troop 6000 members, returning as adults to continue to contribute to this community. They are the biggest testaments to this program's impact. Troop 6000 is not just for girls, it is for mothers in shelter too. I notice parents start to connect with each other and build relationships in a place that's inherently isolating. I've seen them regain confidence and feel empowered to lead not only the troop meetings, but in their personal lives as well. I see myself in our parent volunteers who are doing everything they can for their kids. I laugh when they show up in Girl Scout green, radiating enthusiasm, because it's the same way I was when I was first introduced to Girl Scouts as an adult by Meredith Mascara, who will later offer me a job so that growing the sisterhood of Girl Scouts could be more than just a hobby. Girl Scouts can provide solutions to these problems, but what we are able to do is create a time and a space for young people to experience joy, connection, and emotional safety. This space is a lifeline for my own family and for the families in my shelter. It's been a bright spot and a stabilizing force for thousands of Girl Scouts over the past 7 years. And now that we have welcomed over 200 newest members to our newest location, I get to witness the magic all over again. I see shy kids slowly reveal their personalities week by week until they are some of the most animated in the room. I watch older Girl Scouts instinctively practice leadership, guiding the younger sister Scouts through activities. I hear them excitedly ask to sell Girl Scout cookies and wonder when they'll finally get to go to camp. I observe all the silly conversations as well as the moments when they bond over shared experience. Girl Scouts of Greater New York is committed to ensuring Girl Scouts in Troop 6000 do not need to feel the long shadow cast by the stigma of their situation, a situation they have no control over as the cost of living continues to rise faster than the wages. Unfortunately, as is often the case, the individuals at the heart of this crisis are overlooked in favor of broadly describing the immigration problem or the homelessness problem. Too many people fail to see their fellow humans at the center of this heartbreaking situation. There is a huge stigma around homelessness, and one of the Troop 6000's missions is to break it. Thank you, Meredith, Jimmy, Nikita, our mission-driven partners, and countless donors around the world, and most importantly, to all those who are committed to creating a space and opportunities for girls and women in New York City.